My name is Daniel Daze. Let's settle for the details. Now, JoyNews investigations have uncovered a resurgence of hoarding and sale of premixed fuel in parts of the central and western regions. Vice President Dr. Mahama last year promised to digitize the distribution of government's subsidized premixed fuel to rid the supply chain of middlemen who mostly hoard the product and sell at exorbitant prices to fishermen. A year after the broadcast of our hotline documentary, Premixed Cartel, investigative journalist Kwete Nate returns to the London beaches and discovers how the middlemen are hijacking the product meant for poor fishermen.
Fishermen chatting among themselves. As I get close, I eavesdrop on their conversation, which was centered around poor supply of premixed fuel at the coast. Meshach Basil is a fisherman here. Irregular supply of premixed fuel upset him.
The whole month in a car one about or rush them no win ye beer all the this year because we need the month you are be. On baby my chair be next month and the bed be 2 weeks and 3 weeks and about Yaman so dos.
According to him, the situation has been compounded by middlemen who are hoarding and selling the fuel at higher prices. It has become a lucrative trade for individuals who are not even fishermen.
The Maznos no do ampo yama. No water, no this year. You also that whole business. Won't there, won't there abandon Xano, Azano, Omba, and Zadnumba, a bit more than whole business into Omba, car one about better, a month and the whole month in a car one about or rush.
He's not the only fisherman bothered by premixed fuel hoarding in the enclave. Kwesi is also concerned about how the premixed cartels have monopolized the distribution of the fuel. He says his business is on the verge of collapse because of the high cost of fuel. Nana Brokwasari tells JoyNews,
with the issue of this middleman, one of the things that we've done particularly very well this world is to make sure that there is adequate supply of premixed fuel. We realize that some of the problems with this middleman had to do with scarcity. We realize that if the product is in abundance, it can also curb some of these middlemen. And across the country, you realize if you go to most of the landing beaches, premixed fuel is in abundance. So it has rendered the work of this middleman to nothing. There's nothing to hoard now because the product is in abundance.
A year ago, the JoyNews investigative team was here at the Elmina landing beach to find out about the premixed cartel. We're back to check what the situation is. Ebo has pitched camp at the same structure I caught him on camera selling premix at exorbitant prices to fisher folk. At 7 cedis 50 pesos a gallon, 7 gallons of premix should cost a little over 50 cedis. But after interrogating the investigative team about the authenticity of our claims to do business with him, Ebo's aide sells the 7 gallons of premix fuel to us at 100 cedis. At the Kwesi Bay in Elmina, many boats have lined up. Tola and other middlemen were seen by JoyNews investigators busily selling several barrels of premix illegally. He sells a gallon at 10 cedis instead of the 7 cedis 50 pesos approved by government. I head to the western region. I'm at the Albert Bosumchi Sam Fishing Harbour. Someone is challenging one of the people here whether he is indeed a fisherman. He wants to know why this man wants to buy premixed fuel. Many of them are not fishermen, but are busily buying the fuel in barrels. I call him Sergio. He's one of the middlemen who buy the subsidized fuel, hoard, and then sell to the desperate fishermen. He sells the yellow gallon at 100 cedis. 15 minutes drive from the harbour, I meet Eko at Mimpiasem. He's adulterating the government premix fuel with a substance. He sells a gallon of premix at 12 cedis.
Okay. My 1 million.
I asked him why he was mixing the fuel with another color. The story is different here in Accra, where the government has commenced digitizing the distribution of premix as promised by Vice President Dr. Mahama. Without a card identifying you as a fisherman, you can't buy premix fuel here. Emmanuel Udate is a fisherman. He says the new system is a departure from the past, where they struggled to acquire the fuel. Administrator for the National Premixed Fuel Secretariat, Nana Brokwasari, tells JoyNews government has approved the digitization process. He hints government will digitize the distribution of premixed fuel at all landing beaches.
On the 18th of September, Cabinet finally approved a memo that we tabled before Cabinet for the approval of this automation system. And as I speak to you now, we have the letter from Cabinet. It means that government is in full support of this system. So what we need to now do is to start the procurement process, try to talk to all stakeholders, bring all stakeholders on board, and then roll it out nationally.
The fishermen here in Accra may be happy because of the introduction of this innovation, but the same cannot be said of their colleagues in the western and central regions. The criminal acts are still ongoing, and selfish middlemen continue to enjoy. This is Kwete Nate's report for JoyNews.
Now, access to safe drinking water is still a major challenge confronting several communities in the Wenchi municipality of the Bono region, even though there have been some interventions by various governments. Communities such as Adiemra and Tangmakrom are heavily dependent on unwholesome water from streams and other unorthodox sources for domestic use. JoyNews' Nesta Kafui Ajoma tells the story of the Adiemra community.
Access to basic amenities such as safe drinking water remains a headache to community members of Adiemra near Akrobi in the Wenchi municipal area. The 300-strong population of settler farmers have no choice but to depend on streams such as Techrebete and Adaji, even though water from this stream at a cursory look appears to be contaminated. Women are compelled to come here every morning and evening with their children to draw water for use at home. They say their children have been complaining of waterborne diseases, but there is nothing they could do.
We do not have safe drinking water, and the distance from here to where we get water is quite far. We appeal to government to assist us with pipe-borne water. This water is unwholesome. It is not good at all. We find needles, diapers, chamber pots, and sanitary pads in this stream. Sometimes we get stomach upset. We call on government to come to our aid, else we will not vote for them. They could not finish fixing the borehole that was started. Later when they came, they began drilling a new one up there, which has also been abandoned. Health workers usually tell us waterborne disease-causing germs are found in the system of our children. Kwame Bunaib is the leader of Adiemra community
According to him, this borehole was dug under the erstwhile NDC administration, but they could not complete the project before leaving office. He said, officials from the current NPP government came here to start digging another borehole, but it has also stalled for almost 2 years now.
We lack access to safe drinking water. The women are suffering. They walk for about 2 kilometers before they can draw that dirty water. NPP promised to provide safe drinking water for us, but we have not seen much action. The several women and children here are suffering. Even we, the men, lack of water has been delaying our job. We are all Ghanaians, so I plead on behalf of my people that they should forgive us for any offense and come to our aid, for we are suffering.
For the people of Adiemra community in the Wenchi municipality of the Bono region, provision of potable water is high on their needs and wants lists, since water, they say, is life. Nesta Kafui Ajoma reporting from Adiemra in the Wenchi municipality of the Bono region.
Now, Chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Jean Mensah, has justified the EC's decision to publish full details of persons captured in the electoral roll. She argues that the Commission breached no law because they are mandated by law to publish the details of registered voters. She says the list has been pulled down because of technical issues. She was speaking at a training for media personnel on election reporting. Parker Wilson is standing by from that venue. Parker, tell us again how the Electoral Commission boss justified this decision.
All right, so Dano, just as you mentioned, there's a training currently ongoing for journalists who are going to report on election day. The chairperson was invited to give her opening remarks. Now, in her opening remarks, she charged the media to be transparent and fair and render credible accounts to win on election day. So after her opening remarks, she asked us to ask questions for a clarification. So I asked the question about the publication of persons who've been captured onto the register, whether the Commission breached the law or not, and the fact that they have pulled down the list from their website is an admission that indeed they erred. Now, in her response, she indicated to all of us that that is not true. The Commission has not erred in any way. It did not breach any law because the Commission is mandated and required by law to make public the full list of persons who have been registered. In fact, she added that the Commission, according to law, must even upload pictures of individuals who have been registered. And so there was nothing wrong about it. It's quite unfortunate that when they published the list, they had a few issues with technical issues there and there. And so the IT personnel were instructed to pull it down and rectify the challenge because she says people were unable to access the website and they were unable to also get the details or have a better view of their details on online. So the IT individuals have been asked to rectify the challenge. And that is why it is off. It is not necessarily because of the public backlash. That is why they have been compelled to pull down their list from their website. And so by tomorrow or close of week, we will definitely see the list back on their website and online so that Ghanaians who have registered would go there and access. But then she added that they've heard about the complaints and the concerns raised about the age and the voter's ID number. Well, the Commission will look at it. That's where she left it. So whether they are going to add the same list or perhaps there'll be a review, she was unable to tell us. But what we know is that by close of week, the list will be back online and Ghanaians can access it and find out whether or not your name has been captured on the register.
Thank you very much, Parker Wilson, for bringing us those updates. Now, after several violent clashes, some involving attacks on its incumbent Member of Parliament, The Ododo-Diodio constituency seems to be cementing its reputation as one of the most volatile areas prone to electoral violence. There have been some concerns about the firmness and fairness of the police in prosecuting perpetrators of violent crimes in that constituency. As home to one of the most heated parliamentary contests in the December polls, the Ododo-Diodio constituency is the focus of our lens today on our Safety for My Vote series. Manuel Kranting was there.
2020, originally intended to be peaceful but turned violent. This is only one of several such episodes in a constituency that is fast gaining notoriety for electoral violence, Ododo-Diodio. In fact, it is at the top of the list of hotspots identified by police in Accra, with at least 50 flashpoints identified in this constituency. Residents here say they are living in fear. While the incumbent NDC MP Neil Anti-Vanderpoy and his main contender from the NPP Neil Anti-Banaman have committed to a peaceful election, the reality is a constant trade of allegations from both camps, sometimes accusing the police of bias.
Jamestown police station had become toothless bulldogs. In fact, they are impotent simply because the people over there, when anybody from the NPP stock assaults the NDC, nothing. It is just nothing. Last time you saw somebody fired gun, ask whether that person had been arrested.
The small arms, they have to work on they have to be on their feet to collect all the arms, especially the local guns. It's affecting us. They are firing here yesterday on their walk. They are firing here. So I think they have to do something, and they should stop. The parliamentary candidate should allow. They should talk to them. They should stop. And our parliamentary candidate to also allege that we shouldn't do anything concerning about the violence. But the NDC parliamentary candidate is known for violence.
This trend is eroding confidence in the ability of the police to fairly deal with an explosion of political violence should it occur.
Police in your be Papa can't come if you know. I'm a friend of Kawa, Nekeni Neaba. I'm a major bull, Sana Messana. She kaka amejo fa amehwo wakagbe abagbe wofin ame amate ama kase nakani ni akame wo mi ake mai bule sani ke no koktomo ne ke happy no onyo gbe no po ya eko sani onyo odumoshi no osana.
It's like when you call, there's no good results because there's somebody out there who just also give command to suppress him. If the police, they are in their uniform, like we know what Ghana police is, like their service integrity, and the service is there, but the integrity is not there.
But for Niai, a victim of the latest clash between the NPP and NDC, his gunshot wound is a reminder that elections must be without violence.
Me, I'm ready to tell my brothers and sisters that we need peace in our community. But if right now we started fighting like this, it's no good. I have to tell my brothers and sisters that we have to stop everything because we are all one people. Nilante and Nilante, they are all one name. If right now I can just fight with my another colleagues, if you I call my name is Nyai, another person come on Nyai.
In the midst of all these, one chorus seems to be echoing in all corners of the constituency, and that is for the police to increase its visibility there before, during, and after December 7. For JoyNews, Manuel Kranting.
And we here at Joy appeal to all parties involved to seek peace as the solution to any conflicts there. Meanwhile, the Obechebi-Lamte Interchange is open to traffic following the commissioning of the first phase. The $17 million project is expected to significantly reduce traffic and congestion. on the stretch, which records 60,000 vehicular movements daily. Opening the interchange, President Akufo-Addo, who is on a two-day tour of the capital, says the government, by this act, has demonstrated its commitments to address congestion in the country. He further indicates the government is undertaking critical road projects to improve urban mobility.
Last year, 2019, I was here to cut the sword for the commencement of work for the construction of the Obeche-Bilamte interchange. Today, a little over a year ago from that momentous event, I'm happy to be back here to commission the first phase of the Obeche-Bilamte interchange, which has been completed 5 months ahead of schedule. We congratulate the contractor on this admirable, worthwhile feat, and we hope it will characterize the rest of their performance of this contract. I recall the presence at the sword-cutting ceremony of Mrs. Augustina Akwoko Obeche-Bilamte, widow of the great nationalist Emmanuel Obeche-Bilamte, Liberty Lamte, after whom this structure has been fittingly named. Soon after, she went to join him in the arms of the Lord to give him the happy news that succeeding generations of Ghanaians continue to pay homage to his memory and sacrifice for our freedom. Today would have been another memorable day for her. May they both continue to reside peacefully in the bosom of the Lord until the last day of the resurrection, when we shall all meet again. Amen. The completion of Phase 1 will enable the contractor, Messrs. Quiros Galval, UK International, to begin work on Phase 2 immediately after this commissioning ceremony. Today's event is further testimony to government's determination to address the issues. The completion of Phase 1 of the Obeche-Bilamte interchange shows the seriousness that my government attaches towards addressing the congestion within some of the major cities of our country.
Now, the government is also considering various proposals to address the traffic congestion on the Kaneshie-Malam stretch. Roads Minister Kwesi Amwakwata said he warned contractors government will not tolerate shoddy work and assured the similar 5 interchanges in different parts of the country will be done soon.
The works undertaken so far and yet to be undertaken are done to standards and specification. And I want to assure the people of this country that everything will be done as had been done in the past and in all the projects that have been undertaken in our country. The work will be done to specification to give best quality projects to the people of our country so that we can have value for money. And under President Akufo-Addo's administration, I want to say it here once more, that no shoddy work will be tolerated from any contractor. I am happy that all contractors have been living up to expectation, and it is our hope that they will continue to do so. Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, the Department of Urban Roads is being called upon to ensure the timely and effective maintenance of all these interchanges being constructed in our country, and to remind the people of this country.
Now, President Akufo-Addo is currently engaging market women at Kaneshie, as well as traders at Abosio Kai. Correspondent Elton Brobe will bring us details in subsequent bulletins. Now, the National Democratic Congress's presidential candidate, John Dramani Mahama says though President Akufo-Addo prides himself as a human rights lawyer, he has now become a democratic dictator, instilling fear in persons who criticize his government. At a community engagement in the Upper East region, he said the NPP government is vicious and must be kicked out. Maxwell Akbakba has more.
First port of call will be Boko, where we understand there will be a community engagement. He will be sharing his vision with the residents there and electorates also there. So that's what he's doing right now, meeting some chiefs and imams.
If we handle the issue of Galamsey properly, we can create 1 million jobs for young people in this economy. NDC is going to come out with a new plan for small-scale mining. We're going to enter into a new era of small-scale mining, and we're going to do it properly. And it will give employment to more than 1 million young people.
John Mahama says President Akufo-Addo is not tolerant of diverging opinions.
One of the things this MPP administration uses is fear. If you criticize the administration, they come after you. They will either dismiss you, or they will threaten you, or they will even kill you in some instances. We remember Ahmed Swali was killed. Up to now, his killers have not been found. There was a journalist here in Upper East. He investigated some malfeasance, and he had to run away for his life. And so this government is a very vicious government. I've spoken to several journalists. As soon as they do a program criticizing the government, they get threatening phone calls. This was not the case when NDC was in government. And so we need to get this government out. Nana Akufo-Addo prides himself as a human rights lawyer, but he's become a democratic dictator. My running mate was going on a radio station to do an interview. You know what they did? They jammed the frequency of the radio station. I was going on the same station to do an interview. I was supposed to start at 8 a.m. 8 a.m. they jammed the frequency of the station. I mean, what kind of government is this?
He says the MPP's One Village, One Dam project is complete waste of resources, describing it as one village, one pond.
Instead, they went and started again, one village, one pond. Those little duck ponds that ducks swim in, they call dams. Those dams have been a complete waste of government resources. What our people are looking for is viable dams that can provide water throughout the year so that they can engage in dry season irrigation, farming, and gardening. That is what our people are looking for. Not the duck ponds that have been dug, wasting government money.
Now, with exactly 13 days to this year's presidential and parliamentary elections, the Faculty of Education at the University of Tamale will on Wednesday hold a political parties debate on education policy. The debate will provide a platform for dialogue in educational policies to help political parties reflect on the educational policies as presented in their manifestos. Dr. Ibrahim Mohammed Gunu is the acting dean of the Faculty of Education at the University of Development Studies.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. The Faculty of Education of the University for Development Studies Political Parties Debate on Education Policy seeks to provide a platform for educational policy dialogue to help political parties reflect on educational policies as presented in their political parties' manifesto. The main objective is to critically engage political parties on their educational policies. The platform will provide an opportunity for political accountability and for political parties to reach out to millions of potential voters in one event as they aspire to govern the state.
Now, Prof, why did you pick education as an issue in particular for the parties to debate on?
We consider education as a big player in the economy and labor market of any country. In this regard, sound educational policy construction and implementation will play a vital role in raising the standard of the nation's skills and competitiveness. So we feel that it is important for us to organize this event in line with the various political parties' manifesto. And that is what we have done. It must be mentioned that this is a non-partisan program organized by UDS Faculty of Education in partnership with NOSAC and Oxfam.
Hi, good afternoon. Welcome to Business. My name is Darryl Kwao. The Bank of Ghana has introduced a new software to help address supervisory and regulatory challenges in the financial system. The online regulatory analytical system is expected to streamline data collection and move licensing and authorization onto an electronic platform. Head of Other Financial Institutions Supervision, Yao Sapong, revealed this at the 21st Biennial General Meeting of the Association of Rural Banks. Prince Apia reports.
The underlying weaknesses identified in Ghana's financial sector resulted in a cleanup exercise that collapsed more than 100 financial institutions. The impact has led to many regulatory reforms, which include a new online system. Yao Sapong is head of Other Financial Institutions Supervision at the Bank of Ghana.
Another major initiative underway is the introduction of the new software called ORAS, Online Regulatory Analytical System. This was introduced to help streamline data collection, maintain dynamic corporate profiles, and move licensing and authorization onto an electronic platform without the need to physically visit the premises of the Bank of Ghana, thereby easing the supervisory and regulatory burden on financial institutions. An important requirement for the successful implementation of ORAS, especially in the submission of prudential returns, is the requirement to use what we call API, Application Programming Interface, to perform machine-to-machine data transfer.
Mr. Sapong was speaking at the 21st Biennial General Meeting of the Association of Rural Banks held in Kumasi. The theme was financial sector reforms and its impact on rural banking, challenges and benefits. The Association of Rural Banks highlighted the impact of COVID-19 on members aside the financial sector cleanup. National President D.O.K. Owusu says the association will embrace the reforms to strengthen the industry against any shocks.
So the focus will be maintaining very strong board and very good and competent management. And this will be involved sensitization in the form of training, attachments, and the adoption of all the appropriate operational guidelines in respect of risk, in respect of compliance, in respect of adhering to prudential lapses and other issues that will be pertinent to enhance the image of operations.
Managing Director of ARB Apex Bank Limited, Kojo Mata, advised members to take advantage of the alternative stock market.
We have taken steps at earlier forums to introduce RCB to the advantages of listing of the alternative market, to expedite their in-house processes to list on the stock exchange. Listing on the exchange offers a stress-free platform for raising capital from diverse investors for investment into projects such as branch expansion, ICT, modernization and standardization of operations, and similar.
The rural and community banks have been advised to adhere to strong corporate governance mechanisms. Prince Apia reporting.
Now, more than 1,500 traders affected by the Odona market fire have begun registering with the National Board for Small-Scale Industries for support. The board has commenced the assessment process for victims who lost their properties to the incident. There's more in the following report.
The source of the market fire, which has destroyed in excess of millions of goods belonging to these traders, is yet to be identified. The NBSSI has been directed by President Akufo-Addo to activate a program that will ensure that all victims of the inferno receive some form of support. As part of the process, the NBSSI has started with the engagement and registered more than 1,500 victims. Executive Director Kosi Yankee Aye told Joy Business that the government is poised to revive all businesses that were affected by the fire.
So as much as possible, our goal is to ensure that we build them and support them in times like this, in the good times and the bad times. So when there's a bad time such as this, we are called, and as the president asked us to provide some relief, the program is underway. As of this Saturday, on Friday, we met with all the stakeholders, the relevant stakeholders. We've actually aligned with them. They've brought the database that they have to support us. We set up a space at the Obra spot, the former Obra spot, and on Saturday we went straight to work and we started registering them. To date, we've registered over 1,500 people who came. I don't know what the figures are today. I will check at the end of the day. And it's still ongoing. I'm sure we'll get the opportunity to see the registration process going on. This is to allow us to get a database and see what their needs are.
Municipal Director for the National Disaster Management Organization, NATMO, in the Koliklote Assembly, Daniel Odeyapia, disclosed that about 70% of the victims have already been captured on its assessment process and ready to be provided with assistance.
Doing our assessment, you can see strong team behind me who have been support in undertaking the assessment, and we have covered more than 70% of the victims. And the modality we put in place, one key modality we put in place to do this assessment is to bring the victims to the exact location where they were operating. One, to ascertain the veracity of the fact that they were really operating here, and to also define what they were trading in, and to also try to put some value on the things they were trading which have been consumed in the fire.
The Municipal Assembly has also assured traders that it will reconstruct a modernized market facility next year.
Got a full bulletin of business news in 15 minutes. Up next, sports with Ore Kwampofo.